All right. Welcome back to Jayfabe Wrestling. This time we're booking Survivor Series 1997. Of course, famous for the Montreal screw job. Let's get into the cards. So the first match we had New Age Outlaws teaming with the Godwins, defeating the Headbangers and the new Blackjacks. Then we got the Truth Commission defeating the Disciple of Apocalypse. Then we got Team Canada, the British Bulldog, Jim Neidhart, Doug and Furnas LaFon versus defeating Team USA, Vader, Goldust, Marc, Mero, and Steve Blackman. And we got Kane defeating Mankind. We got Ken Shamrock, Ahmed Johnson, the Legion of Doom defeating the Nation of Rocky, Farouk, Kama, and D'Lo. And then we got Steve Austin defeating Owen Hart to regain back his Intercontinental Championship. And obviously the main event, we got Shawn Michaels defeating Bret Hart, getting screwed. And before I get into my rebooking, I do want to say that this was a really cool build here. Obviously, just the heat with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. You could cut the tension with a knife. You didn't know which way they were leading. And of course, there was definitely rumors that Bret Hart was going to leave the Road Wrestling Federation. So, there's a lot of these thoughts going into the show. And of course, Steve Austin, obviously, coming back after injury. We thought he may not wrestle again, but the fact that, he was still able to stay over and probably be even more over because of this injury was cool. And then we kind of seen, Rocky Maivia, slowly grow here. The debut of Kane, which was cool. And then we saw a lot of these guys for the last time because they left after, the Montreal Screwjob. Some people, British Bulldog, we didn't see him. Jim Neidhart, this was definitely an interesting time. Also, the opening match, you had the New Age Outlaws coming out to no music, and people are like, "Who are these guys?" So you can definitely see them grow. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was a pretty good card. I think if you get rid of some things here, it can definitely be better. So yeah, let's try to rebook it. Let's go. So yeah, the first match I actually have Marc Mero, the new Blackjacks, and Taka Michinoku not defeating, but versing Triple H, the New Age Outlaws, and Aguila. So yeah, I feel like it was weird Triple H wasn't on the card. So, I would definitely have him on the card here. He can continue his feud with Marc Mero. And this will also slowly build the feud where Marc Mero is starting to get conscious of Sable. People looking at her, even the new Blackjacks and Taka, he's like, don't look at Sable. So you can definitely build some, slowly turning him heel. And I just wanted to give Triple H momentum. And also it'd be cool to have Triple H team with the Outlaws here to slowly build their partnership and eventually forming D-Generation X. And I think it was fun to have, the light heavyweights here. They were not showcased on this card, and they're definitely better workers than a lot of the people on the card. So having them in this tag match would be cool. And yeah, I would actually have, Marc Mero get distracted by Sable, so that causes his elimination. So he's kind of pissed at Sable. And then it'll be Taka Michinoku and Triple H as the final two. And then we have Taka go to the top rope, but China push him off, and that will land right into the pedigree. 1, 2, 3. Triple H gets the win, and it kind of sets the tone for tonight. It's like, all right, DX got the first win. Can they get the second win? And yeah, I think it would be a nice opener. Got some some young talent here, some fast paced action, and I think it definitely gives Triple H momentum going into 1998. All right, the second match, we got Ahmed Johnson, Flash Funk, Savio Vega, and Crush versus the Nation. So obviously, Savio and Crush, they were a part of the Gang Wars, but they kind of, turn face and actually align themselves with Ahmed Johnson because they're tired of the Nation. So that kind of sets up this match here. And of course, Ahmed Johnson, he hates the Nation. They injured him, and now he's back. So, and yeah, you definitely have Ahmed Johnson be in the finals with The Rock and Farouk. We could actually have, then The Rock accidentally cost Farouk his elimination, but The Rock is still able to fight off Ahmed after the rest of the nation come distract him. So The Rock is the sole survivor. It does a few things here. At first, starts the tension between The Rock and Farouk that slowly happened in early 1998. Kind of establishes The Rock also as the new leader of the nation, or like he says, he's the ruler of the nation because eventually he would start to feud with Steve Austin. So, yeah, and it gives The Rock a lot of momentum going into a big year. But it also keeps Ahmed strong because he didn't lose clean. So, yeah, I think again, good match, and The Rock is the sole survivor. All right, the next match we got Team Mankind, him teaming with Vader, and the Headbangers against Kane, Goldust, and the Godwins. So yeah, obviously, Kane and the Undertaker. That's what was building here, but you couldn't have Undertaker on the show right away. So Mankind was definitely a cool replacement here to have be the main feud for Kane, and similar feud where Paul Bearer. Um, he kind of he doesn't associate himself with Mankind, even though they used to be a team. And obviously, Kane attacked Dude Love for him to turn back to Mankind, and then even Vader could say that's messed up, man. I used to align myself with Paul Bearer too, and then Kane could attack Vader as well, and yeah, and then Goldust, he says he likes Kane. He wants to. He doesn't know what to do, and then Kane could attack him as well, and then Goldust could, turn heel and align himself with Paul Bearer and Kane, and yeah, you can kind of round out the team here. So yeah, I think it does a few things. First, it gives Kane more of a showcase here. I would actually have him eliminate the whole team. Yeah, I would actually have Kane eliminate the whole team. Maybe it would be down to 4-on-2 after the Godwins get eliminated. Kane can eliminate both Headbangers. Goldust can get eliminated, and then Kane can eliminate the final two. So yeah, I think just shows how much of a monster Kane is, and I think yeah, this would be a better showcase than a one-on-one match. And of course, scrap the red lights. I wasn't feeling that, for the matches. If you want to do it for when he attacks someone, yeah, that's cool, because it brings like this whole scary, spooky factor. But yeah, for this one, no red lights. Kane is a sole survivor and gets a big W. All right, the next match we got Steve Austin, Ken Shamrock, and the Legion of Doom versus Owen Hart, British Bulldog, Doug Furnas, and Phil LaFon, Team Canada. So yeah, first thing is first. I definitely think Austin wasn't ready, so to have him in a Survivors tag match, I think it was the right way to go because he doesn't have to do too much, and obviously he can just get the hot tag, and whip Owen Hart's ass. He doesn't have to do too much. And yeah, I thought it was weird how like the British Bulldog and Jim Neidhart, they were in different matches, and Owen was in a separate match. So yeah, I would definitely have them be in the same match here. Jim Neidhart can be on ringside just because there wasn't really a fourth man I could choose, so I'd rather put Doug Furnas and Phil LaFon in there, and they're a tag team, so it made sense they'd be feuding with Legion of Doom. So yeah, Owen Hart can talk trash. Owen Hart 316. I just broke your neck. Steve Austin can be playing hunting Owen Hart. Throwing darts at him, stuff like that, but he's not clear to wrestle. So it's supposed to be Ken Shamrock, feuding with the Hart family because he says he respects Steve Austin and he wants to get revenge, and they can attack him, and then Steve Austin can actually make the return, attack everyone maybe with a chair and say he's back and he's the fourth member. So yeah, definitely built some fun intrigue there, and I would actually have Ken Shamrock and Steve Austin be the sole survivors. Ken Shamrock could get Owen in the ankle lock, but then he tags Austin so Austin can hit him with multiple stunners, get the revenge. And honestly, he didn't really need the IC championship, so just him getting his revenge on Owen Hart, I think would be cool. And yeah, nice match. All right, next up we got the main event of the evening. Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. I couldn't change this. Obviously, it'd been cool to maybe have like Team DX versus Team Hart Foundation. But obviously, the circumstances here, we had to have the title on the line here, and we had to get the title off Brett. You know, so yeah, the build here was amazing. Just the opening promo, talking about 1996, where Brett believed he was screwed, which is funny what happens later. But he was screwed in the Iron Man match. He had the match won. I mean, even though it ended a time limit, he wasn't aware that the championship must be there must be a winner. He wasn't aware of that, and also that he had momentum. Like even you could take the timeout and you could just put Sean back in the sharpshooter, and Sean probably would have tapped. So he never felt like he was being screwed. And then of course the trash talking, the ones we seen on screen and the ones that we weren't supposed to see, talking about Brett is seeing sunny days and Sean, just talking smack, being so disrespectful to the Canadian flag. You're a zero, my hero, stuff like that. Brett, calling him a degenerate, just again, great feud. And obviously we had Vince McMahon as well. Kind of in the build, him saying he doesn't know who's gonna win, which is pretty funny, obviously. So yeah, I definitely got to keep this match here, keep everything the same, keep the Montreal Screwjob obviously the same here, just because look at what it did. It created Vince McMahon to be the biggest heel in the industry and allowing Austin to be his rival and the biggest face in the industry. And if you don't get this, I don't know if we still get that Austin McMahon feud and everything else that happened in the Attitude Era. So it's an unfortunate situation. Do I think it could have been avoided? I think so. You had a lot of ways to do it. You could have had like Undertaker, get the belt off Brett before this, or yeah, Brett vacate the belt afterwards. There's a lot of ways to go with it, but at the time, WWF was very worried what Eric Bischoff would do. Even if Brett vacated the belt, he could still say, he's still the uncrowned champion, the WWF champions here on WCW. So I can see Vincent's worries as well, but I also trust Brett that he wouldn't do anything to hurt the business. But yeah, just a crazy situation here. But yeah, keep everything the same here. Shawn Michaels wins, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, guys, that is my card. Let me know what you guys think of the card. First things first, I got rid of the Truth Commission DOA match. That match wasn't really good. No one was over in that match. And then I made the New Age Outlaw match a little better by adding more talent, having them team with Triple H against team of Marc, Mero, and then adding the cruiserweights too. I think made that match a little more fun. And then yeah, Ahmed is feuding with the Nation. That was cool. And then I had Ken Shamrock team with Austin against Team Owen Hart, Team Canada. So yeah, I think that made sense as well. Just for the fact that Steve Austin couldn't really go, so his match with Owen Hart was only 4 minutes. So having him in a Survivor Series tag match, he could take some breaks, he could take some rest, he can get the hot tag, he can get the momentum, and it still does what he's supposed to do and beat Owen Hart. Obviously the IC title is not on the line, but you can have him win it back on Raw if you want to. But the important thing was establishing Austin, that he's back and, he got his revenge on Owen Hart and he has bigger fish to fry, as he likes to say. And then even giving Kane this showcase, rather than him defeating Mankind, I had Kane eliminate 4 people on one team just to show that, how much of a monster he is and how much trouble Undertaker is. So it builds him up for 1998. And of course, the Brett and Sean match with all the history, it was still a really good match. And obviously the ending just makes it memorable. So yeah, guys, that is my card. Let me know what you guys think. And I'm going to run down the card for you guys right now. The first match, Captain Marc Mero teaming with the new Blackjacks and Taka Michinoku versus Captain Triple H teaming with the New Age Outlaws and Aguila. Second match, Captain Ahmed Johnson teaming with Flash Funk, Savio, Vega, and Crush versus the Nation Captain The Rock teaming with Farouk, Kama, and D'Lo Brown. Next match, we got Captain Mankind teaming with Vader and the Headbangers versus Captain Kane teaming with Goldust and the Godwins. Fourth match, we got Captain Stone Cold Steve Austin teaming with Ken Shamrock and the Legion of Doom versus Captain Owen Hart teaming with the British Bulldog and Doug Furnas and Phil LaFon. And in the main event for the WWF Championship, Bret the Hitman Hart versus the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. So yeah, guys, that is my card. Let me know what you guys think. Catch you on the next one. Peace.